Absolutely. I think as well, you've seen this week Rassie in the press conference, basically more or less dispelling a question about, time waste and saying we work within the laws. He's got Jaco paper at his press conferences, and he says that between, I think, was it when a penalty, a mark is given for a penalty, and when the line out is taken, they have 30 seconds, and they train to those 30 seconds. So this tells me they're not looking to play at a high octane pace like the All Blacks will do, and very, very big indication of the mindsets of the two teams coming into this game. I want to touch on what we were talking about last in the debut pod about the layers of the All Blacks attack. You won't be able to see it on your screen here, having technical difficulties, but we'll edit it in after the pod. In the 13th minute of the game against the Bulls on Saturday, New Zealand have had a line out off in the Bulls 22. They've gone to the maul, and they've shown the Springboks this picture here with Anton Segner at the front of the pod. You can see Anton Leonard-Brown and Riku Ioane outside him, and then Josh Jacob and Leroy Carter out there in the boot. It looks like potentially Anton Leonard-Brown is going to truck it up, potentially give a tip ball onto Riku Ioane. But at the very last minute, as you can see here, Anton Leonard-Brown shifts the ball out the back to Josh Jacob, and Riku Ioane is able to suck in the 13. Now you can see that the dummy line is really strong here. Everyone's working hard off the ball, and it's committing the defenders. And the ball goes out the back to Josh Jacob, who has the ability to feed on to Leroy Carter, which eventually would lead to the first try by Josh Morby in the left-hand corner. However, if they play the same move against South Africa on Saturday, or if they show this picture, it'll be defended very differently. I think, as you see here, Jesse Creel has this unbelievable ability to swim off dummy runners and get through to the boot quickly to prevent the ball going out the back or prevent execution of that ball out to the back. And I'm sure we'll see Cheslin Colby coming out from out to in, trying to cut off where Leroy Carter was here. Why has Rennie shown this picture to Rassie in this tour game? Do you think that he's going to run a variation of this move on Saturday or in the series? Is he using this as maybe something that could be kept back for the World Cup? It's very interesting that Dave Rennie would show Rassie this picture 1 week before the start of this greatest rivalry series.
Yeah, I think it's a very intentional move, and as part of the All Blacks having, while they have multiple different layers, they just have multiple different options. Like, you can hit that lead runner, and it's all very intentional. And that Segner's giving that pass. If he gives off to the person on the outside as the lead runner, then he's the first person to the breakdown to steal that play, and then they can demonstrate some continuity and just rephase, go back to phase from there, understanding that guys are going to come up and in, like Colby, to try and cut that down. So while there's multiple different layers, there's always multiple different options, and they've probably invited South Africa into that by saying, well, if you come up aggressively out wide, then we can just take the lead runner, reset and go again, and ideally the hole will be for that lead runner rather than in the boot. But then again, it's just asking people to make decisions, with the ball to make decisions for the All Blacks and make the right decision. Because if you see that person, if you see Colby come up and in, then there's every chance that guys like Segner have been training those long balls as well. So he might hit the lead runner. He might harbour bridge it and go right across like Sati did in that game to hit Clark out wide. So they train to different skill sets, making sure that everyone can pass the ball and make decisions under pressure. So I think you'll see a few different options there, and they'll probably just try and read it in the game itself. But South Africa have a fantastic defensive line, especially out wide. Like their ability to scramble, and like how you say with Jesse Creel, he just peels off once he makes really great decisions as an outside centre of when the play has clearly gone. He makes that decision early and gets into the next space to make the next decision, which pushes everybody out as well and allows them to cover those outside channels really well. So New Zealand will have their work cut out for them. Colby will be an absolute pest in that pocket all series long. If he doesn't pick off one intercept pass from that, or poleaxe one guy outside in, I'd be incredibly surprised.
Yeah, the way they're standing deep as well, it's almost like a trap for this rush defense, because you see definitely with Ruben Love, when he's sitting in the boot, he's not running forward, he's standing still. It's like they're almost inviting the Springboks to come back. It very much reminds me of the way Ireland were playing in the pre-2023 World Cup. The layers to their attack, the amount of options in play, the work rate off the ball. Everyone cannot be dead on the ground, because that's just taking options out of the game. They're trained to get up off the ground and put themselves into position where they can receive the ball. And I think, like you said as well, these aren't pre-constructed moves where they stick robotically to the option that they're going to take. Ruben Love and Damien McKenzie are going to play what they see in front of them. Richie Mo'unga, eventually, when he has an opportunity to play in this system, will also play what he sees in front of them. As you saw, and we go back to, this is the 2023 quarterfinal. This is actually a game we're going to mention quite a bit in the next few minutes, where they had a set play in their own half. Ireland kind of stood off, expecting the set play, and Richie Mo'unga just went straight down the middle, beating Dan Sheehan and Josh van der Fleer before feeding off to Will Jordan for the try that ultimately took that quarterfinal out of reach. But ultimately, this style of attack could invite Rassie to do something very similar. If the All Blacks manage to get a lot of change out of this blitz defense, really inviting New Zealand, inviting the Springbok rush defense like Creel, like Colby onto it and expose them. If they manage to expose them in the series, this actually paints a different picture for the long term, because we could see Jerry Flannery and Rassie, the Springbok defense coach Jerry Flannery, employing something similar later on. There's all this 4D chess going on here. And it's going to be very interesting to see how it unfolds over the next few weeks, because there will be things that are held back. There'll be things that are intentionally shown, and can't wait to see how it all unfolds.
Some great tactics at play, and kind of challenges both teams as well to combat different styles. And as you say, like the Springboks can move from that aggressive up and in defense to a more passive defense to just allow New Zealand to play those options. But South Africa are masters at trapping teams behind the game line. And if New Zealand plays too deep and the options aren't getting them the go forward that they want, then South Africa could send New Zealand to a plan B, which is probably what Rennie's also looking to expose over the course of the series too, is like, what does plan B look like when things don't go our way? Pretty awesome that they get to play 4 tests against each other.
It's
the two best teams in the world, just over a year out from the World Cup, are just going ding dong at each other for 4 tests. I think both coaches are pretty stoked to have this kind of challenge at this time in the lead up to the Cup.
Yeah, it's pretty unbelievable that we get to see 4 games between these two teams, 2 more before the Rugby World Cup next year as well. So, and like we said last time, all roads head to Sydney, quarterfinal in Sydney, potentially next year. I know the Wallabies fans may have something to say about it, but this is pretty much, I think, what Rassie and Rennie will be preparing for. We'll also see, I think, like we said, lots of smaller kicks by the All Blacks to keep that rush defense honest. I think Geordie Barrett, Ruben Love, Damien McKenzie, or who maybe Bowden Barrett, if he's selected, will be looking to put the ball in behind and kind of keep that Springbok defense held back and in anticipation. And on the other side, we've seen a bit of a glimpse the last few weeks of the counter warfare to this Springbok kicking game. I'm going to show it on the screen here, but Argentina were excellent at it a couple of weeks ago against South Africa in that test in Buenos Aires. The wingers, Mendy and Rodrigo Izigro, always heading back, running backwards towards the fullback staying deep, and they were catching the ball, running backwards. And then even if they were getting tackled, losing momentum, the fullback would be there to come in, clear out, and secure the ball. As we touched on earlier when we were talking before the pod, we've seen the All Blacks trial this out a couple of times in that game against the Bulls, which we'll see on the screen here as well. Josh Morby, Amoni Narawa tracking back with the fullback hanging deep. What do you make of this? Will the All Blacks look to do this on Saturday? And if you're a Springbok coach, what are you doing to get around this? Because they thrive on turnover ball off this kick chase game.
Yeah, I think their tactics will still remain the same. I think they'll still look to try and tap the ball back and regain possession wherever they possibly can. I think it's more just about how they compete, when they compete, and making sure that the kicking is actually a lot more accurate. And they might look to put a little bit deeper, a little bit higher and deeper, just to ensure that the fullback is invited to come in a lot more, and that they may look to go a little bit longer, just so that if the winger can't get back, then the ball may bounce into space. I think that was probably one takeaway from the South African Argentina game, was there was a lot of kicking, but a lot of the kicking was really inaccurate. And I think they would have worked pretty hard on the accuracy of their kicking, box kicking, kicking from 10, just to ensure that they're getting those kicks right, and putting the All Blacks under a lot of pressure, getting them to second guess the judgment around those, and just continually testing the All Blacks under the high ball, because they'll still back themselves. Like, it's not like the All Blacks have proven themselves to be great aerial contesters and superior under the high ball. They've still got a lot of work to do in that area, and the Springboks will definitely go there early. And I think the provincial sides did it really well. They were putting up high kicks with pretty much 30 metres out from their own line. When the All Blacks were down to 13 men, they would still go to the air for a contestable kick. So I think we'll still see it. I'll just be interested to see how the All Blacks defend it, and who they pick on the wing as well will play a big part in that.